Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Planetarium live stream. We are very excited tonight as our, last show of Spooktober to be talking all about Harry Potter. With us today, we've got quite a few people with us. I think is this everyone? I think we have everyone here today.
I think it is.
Oh my goodness, I think this is the first time that we've had everyone here. So let's definitely go around and do some introductions. You know me, I am Jessica. I am the director of the Planetarium. And since we're doing Harry Potter tonight, we'll just go with I am a Ravenclaw. Although I still like Hufflepuff too. So I'm going to stick with being a Ravenpuff because I like both and I can't decide. And let's go around and we'll go with Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a physics graduate student and I am a Ravenclaw.
Jasmine?
I am. Oh, Jasmine.
Or nope, Eli, you're good.
Okay.
I can't see the order, so I didn't know. My name is Eli. I'm a physics undergraduate student, and I am a Gryffindor.
All right. My name is Jasmine. I am kind of an oddball of the bunch. I'm studying elementary education, and I am a Gryffindor.
Hey, don't say oddball. Education is what we do.
I know, but everyone's physics this, physics that, astronomy this, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, it's cool to show that you don't have to do that to work in a planetarium. We have all sorts of backgrounds here. Anyway, just don't want you to be down. Yeah. You're awesome.
Oh, never. I'm all about it.
All right, Luis.
I'm Luis. I'm Luis. I'm a chemical engineering student, so I'm also the odd one out. I'm just an astronomy buff, I guess. So, and then I am a Hufflepuff through and through. So that's where I stand.
Last but not least, our character that has not spoken. Jim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening. I'm Jim Rock, the Director of Indigenous Programming. I had major Gryffindor personality, but I've morphed into a Slytherin. And I'm not getting any financial kickbacks to endorse. The official food is Haribo Gloomy Snakes, Twin Snakes, the official food of Slytherin tonight. Welcome.
All right. So, the show tonight has been put together by Jasmine and Luis, who are very big Harry Potter fans and have done, I'm just going to straight up say, an excellent job with this. But I'm going to hand it over to you two and let you take over. So it is off to you.
All right. Showtime. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen quick. And we can get started.
Okay, welcome everyone to our Harry Potter show.
I don't see your screen
So we're
shared.
very excited.
Oh, it didn't go?
No, it didn't go. There it goes.
Is it up now?
Yep, it's up.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, it wouldn't be a good show without some technical difficulties at the beginning. So.
True. Okay, well, again, welcome everyone to the Magical World of Astronomy, a Harry Potter show. We are very excited, and we had a lot of fun building this Harry Potter-esque show tonight, and we cannot wait for everyone to enjoy it. We are both very big Harry Potter fans, as we know, or as we've been talking about it, and I'll just get started by saying my favorite book was probably The Order of the Phoenix. And Jasmine, what was yours?
My favorite book was definitely Goblet of Fire, but I love the Deathly Hallows movies.
True. I think all the movies are great. So comment down below what your favorite movies, books, or characters, or any questions that you see throughout the show. We'll be looking out for them.
Sure.
So enjoy. Also a spoiler warning too.
Yes, spoiler.
Have fun.
If you haven't seen the movies or read the books, we might spoil some things for you. So, okay. So to get started, the first kind of group of characters that we're going to talk about come from the Black family tree, which is a big family that's talked about a lot in Harry Potter, although not too many of the family members are super familiar to a lot of people. But almost every single member of the family has some type of like astronomical connection. They're named after some type of stellar object, or their abilities have some type of connection. So we're going to be talking about a few of those. And the first one that we are going to talk about is definitely the most well-known of them all, Mr. Sirius Black. He is Harry Potter's godfather, and he was introduced in the third book, Prisoner of Azkaban. In this book, his abilities are revealed, and we'll kind of talk about some of those connections. But first, he is named after the brightest star in our sky, Sirius, which is also known as the Dog Star and resides in the constellation of Canis Major, or the Big Dog. And in both the books and the movies, it's revealed that Sirius Black is what we call an enigmus, or a wizard that has the ability to transform into a certain animal on command. And his animal just happens to be a large black dog. So is it a coincidence? Probably not, that he can transform into this large dog and is in turn named after this dog star. Right?
And okay, so the next three characters aren't too well known, but definitely show up and have a pretty big astronomical correlation. So from right to left, we have Regulus Arcturus Black, Orion Black, and Alphard Black. So starting here in Regulus Black, we know that he is Sirius's brother, and he plays a pretty big role at the very end of the books and movies, where he actually starts to go. He's a Death Eater, and he starts to go against Lord Voldemort. So he definitely helps Harry along, unknowingly, of course, but he definitely helps Harry along. And so the reference we have here in the sky is that Regulus is part of the Leo the Lion constellation. He is the brightest star and is called the Heart of the Lion because he is right there at the chest point. And then his middle name, Arcturus, is actually the brightest star in the Boötes, the herdsman constellation that we can see down there. It's just the brightest point right where it all comes together at the bottom. Moving on, we have Orion Black, which is Sirius's father. And he has a pretty big constellation that I'm sure if you looked out at the winter sky, you could identify. But he is Orion the Huntsman, that is part of the winter hexagon. And there's also a pretty cool thing about Orion is that on the sheath of his sword, down over by his belt, there's actually called it the Orion Nebula, which is just a giant nest of forming stars and stardust that is pretty cool. And look it up, it's very beautiful. And then finally, our last one is Alphard Black, who is Sirius Black's uncle, who gave him his fortune. And he is the brightest star in the southern skies constellation of Hydra, which is pretty cool. It's big and pretty cool. So we can move on now.
Perfect. All right. Next, the next member of the family that we're going to talk about, his name is Cygnus Black. He's another one of Sirius's uncles, and he is named after the constellation Cygnus the Swan. But his big important role comes in to him being the father of these next three characters. We have Bellatrix Lestrange, Andromeda Tonks, and Narcissa Malfoy. So in the movies, it's pretty glossed over that Narcissa Malfoy, who is the mother of Draco, is actually related to Bellatrix, one of the main like Death Eaters next to Lord Voldemort. And so there's like this family connection that we don't really get to explore in the movies, but they all kind of show these same connections to astronomy. So starting with Bellatrix, she's kind of a controversial character, but she's one of my absolute favorites from the movie. I love her character. And her connection comes from the third brightest star, and again, the Orion constellation. And Bellatrix is actually Latin for the female warrior, which kind of ties into her role in this series, as she is one of Lord Voldemort's most infamous female followers. And then this star is also called the Amazon star. But with the kind of connection and how it's glossed over, it kind of gets interesting in that Bellatrix is actually the one who ends up killing Sirius in the Order of the Phoenix movie. And her being part of kind of like this sister trio, we have Andromeda Tonks, who's pictured in the middle there. She is not featured in the movies or really the books at all, so she's not very well known. But her daughter, Nymphadora Tonks, is featured in the movies, and she's the character who her hair changes colors, and she actually gets married to one of the professors, Remus Lupin. And her astronomical connection, her first name Andromeda, comes from the name of the nearest galaxy to us, the Andromeda Galaxy. And in turn, the Andromeda constellation, where this galaxy can actually be seen in the sky within this constellation. Perfect. And then I think we can move on to a few more stellar characters.
Yeah. This is a pretty cool picture, seeing everyone out of costume. They're just normal muggles.
Right.
The next few characters we have here, one's pretty well known, and the other one is known if you know the other one. So the first character on the left here is Draco, which is one of Harry's major antagonists of pretty much just growing of school. And so we know that he is connected to the Black family because his mother is sisters with Andromeda and Bellatrix. And so he has some pretty cool aunts, I think. But following the Black following the Black astronomical naming, he is also named after a constellation. The constellation is Draco the dragon or serpent. So it's just this giant constellation that curves between the Big and Little Dipper and looks off towards Hercules in the north sky. And so it might be a little correlation or not that he's a Slytherin and he's named after a serpent from the sky, but we don't know about that, I guess. We'll have to ask J.K. Rowling about that. And then the next character we have is going to be Scorpius Hyperion Malfoy, which is Draco's son. And he is only featured at the very end of the 7th book. And so following the Black tradition of being named after constellations, his first name is named after Scorpio the Scorpion in the southern sky here in the northern hemisphere. It kind of looks like a giant hook, and it's pretty cool. I got to see it a few times this summer, so that was fun. And then his middle name, Hyperion, is actually a moon that goes around Saturn. So that's pretty cool.
Perfect. All right. The next two characters that we're going to talk about is some of our favorite heroines from the series. The first, obviously, being Hermione Granger. I mean, where would the boys be without her, right? Her astronomical connection there, she is named after a large binary asteroid called 121 Hermione. And this particular binary asteroid was actually founded in 1872, so quite a while ago. But I guess a binary asteroid is when two asteroids, as they're traveling through space, they get a little too close to each other and end up kind of latching onto each other and orbiting each other as they move through space. But this picture that we have with Hermione, you can see that there are actually 3 objects pictured here. So not just the 2 asteroids, but in 2002, a moon or a natural satellite was actually found to be orbiting this binary asteroid, which is pretty cool. So thought I'd add that in there. And then we have Luna Lovegood, another one of my favorite characters from the series. Everyone fell in love with her unique, quirky personality. And she is named after our moon. So Luna in Latin translates to moon. So that's where she gets her name. But in turn, she's actually also named after the first couple space missions that were meant to leave Earth's atmosphere and reach the moon, which were Luna 1 and Luna 2. They were launched by the Soviet Union, Luna 1 being in 1959. And although Luna 1 was the first spacecraft to successfully leave Earth's atmosphere, it missed the moon completely. There are calculations that were off or something, but didn't actually get to the moon until Luna 2.
Okay, so our next few characters are some of our beloved professors at Hogwarts. We have Albus Dumbledore and Remus Lupin. So starting over here with Albus, Albus roughly translates into white in Latin. And so that could be a coincidence for his usual all white dressing and beard and hair that are pretty silver. There's also a white dwarf star that is about 130 light years away that is called Albus. And we don't know if there's something about it, but white dwarf stars are usually dense and very small stars that are towards the end of their lives. And so Albus Dumbledore is a pretty wise and old man. There could be a slight correlation there, I think. Our next professor here is going to be Remus Lupin, who, as we know, is a werewolf. And that can be found in his name, where Remus or Lupus is Latin for wolf, and that goes into his last name a bit. And talking about Lupus, there's actually a werewolf or wolf constellation in the southern sky that looks like a wolf that's sitting. And so that's pretty cool. And then his first name also has like astronomical correlations, that it is a moon that orbits around the 87 Sylvia asteroid. So that's pretty cool. And there's also a whole thing between Remus being a werewolf, because there's an old Roman story about how Rome was founded by a pair of brothers called Remus and Romulus that were raised by a she-wolf and then ended up establishing Rome. So there's many connections that Lupin has to a lot of history and to the stars.
Yeah, Lupin definitely has some of like the most connections that we found throughout this entire show, which was really awesome. All right, so these last 3 characters, these are going to be super unfamiliar to the vast majority, but you know, if you're a Harry Potter buff like we are, and you go in and you do your research, you can kind of find some cool things about some of these characters we don't really get to explore too much. And the first one being Merope Gaunt. She is actually the mother of Tom Riddle, or Lord Voldemort. And her first name, Merope, actually came from a variable star that resides in the Pleiades star cluster. And a variable star is just a star that's brightness tends to fluctuate in a certain pattern as we see it from Earth. And a cool thing about variable stars is that they're actually often used to measure distances in space. So Merope Gaunt. Next, this one might be a little more familiar to some, Augusta Longbottom. She's never featured, obviously, in any of the movies, but she's referenced a lot by her grandson, Neville, who is quite a fluid character and is a good friend, fellow Gryffindor of Harry Potter and the gang. And I think probably the most notable scene that she's kind of referenced in is in Prisoner of Azkaban, when Neville is fighting the Boggart in Defense Against the Dark Arts class. And when Snape appears, he actually pictures Snape in his grandma's funky clothes that are actually pictured here. And so that's kind of a funny moment that she's kind of featured in the movies. But her connection to astronomy comes from that she shares her name Augusta with the 254 Augusta asteroid that was discovered way back in 1886. It's an old one. Lastly, we have Aurora Sinistra. Not sure how to pronounce that one right. We've kind of gone back and forth about how to pronounce the last name. But she is another professor at Hogwarts, and she teaches astronomy. The kind of cool thing about this, with astronomy being taught at Hogwarts, it's actually the only subject taught there that kind of has like a Muggle counterpart, because all of the other subjects are about magic and all this stuff that we wouldn't even think about here, but then there's kind of that layover in that astronomy is taught in both worlds. But her first name, Aurora, for those of you who will know, comes from the Aurora Borealis or Australis, better known as the Northern and the Southern Lights. Obviously very, very beautiful and kind of common in some places. So we wanted to add that in there and kind of mention that connection as well. Okay, and I think that's all we have for kind of our character references and abilities and all that fun stuff for Harry Potter and astronomy.
Awesome. Would you mind going back real quick to the picture with the Orion constellation? We got a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone pointed out that there is a star there named Betelgeuse. And they were wondering if that is actually how it's pronounced. And yes, to some people, I've heard it pronounced many different ways. I've heard Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Beetlejuice. Yeah, there's lots of different variations, but it's actually, if you translate it from Arabic, it means armpit of the hunter, because that is where that star sits, in the armpit of Orion the hunter. So yeah, that is the only question that I see that we got. If you
Actually, just got another.
Okay.
We just got another. How many moons are there around Saturn?
I believe current count is at 82. Let me just bring our videos back up. There we go. Yeah, I think current count is at 82 right now. It does have the most moons of all of the planets at the moment, but that number is fuzzy because there are a lot of small things out there that are difficult to detect. And so there could be hundreds. And then you also have the, where do you draw the line between a moon and a very big ring particle? So if you include like all of the things in the rings, then there are probably millions. Maybe not millions. There are a lot. So yeah, that was a good question too. I hadn't seen that one come in yet. Anyway, well, thank you, Jasmine and Louise. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
I believe I can go ahead and do a spoiler that there is a potential second part coming out in the future, expanding on this and looking at, what was it, magical creatures?
Magical creatures.
Yeah.
We have a whole list of magical creatures that have astronomical references in different galaxies or nebula, and there's some pretty cool pictures out there. So that would be exciting to do.
So not going to put any pressure on them or any timelines, but we may have a second part in the future to this. All right. So if you do have any other questions, now is a great time to put them in. While we wait and see if any more do come in, let me tell you a little bit about what's coming up to round off Spooktober. We are having our Halloween outside the planetarium on Saturday. So from 3 to 5, we will be outside the planetarium hosting this drive-through event where we will be handing out goodie bags full of fun activities for things that look like magic but are actually explained by science. There will also, of course, be candy because it's Halloween. And then we'll have some cool things that you can watch from your car. So we've got Lindsay and her magic potions again this year, which I always love. We're going to have an exploding pumpkin. We're also going to be doing some test of gravity and see what happens when we drop a pumpkin off the planetarium roof. So we will have details about all of that coming out right before the event, as far as where to drive through, where you can park to watch the pumpkin drop, all of that. We do have a set number of bags that we have put together. We hope that we have estimated a good number correctly, but if we run out, then we unfortunately will run out. But we hope that you can come out and see us and enjoy some socially distanced Halloween fun with us. With that, starting next week, we will get back into more of our regular programming because we will be out of Spooktober, which makes me sad. October really flew by. And so next week we will have our usual beginning of the month, what's up in November, and the constellation story time for November. With that, Eli, anything else come in?
Yeah, so we got one question. If each of us were to pick a star name, what would it be? And I've been thinking about it ever since I looked at it, and I don't know if I can come up with one that hasn't already been talked about, so I'll have to.
That's a good question.
That's a tough one.
Question.
I mean, for funny, I kind of would like the Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
It would be funny.
Jim just typed in chat. He said Aquila Noctis.
Okay.
I'm a little embarrassed. I just Googled cool star names, and I'm not really finding anything. Maybe Castor. Castor's kind of cool.
Castor's cool.
Yeah.
I think I would do one of the stars in the Pleiades star cluster that Jasmine was talking about, like Merope or Pleione or something.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. That was a fun one to end on. I liked that.
Yeah, that was.
I liked that question a lot. All right. Even if I don't have a name, because I totally got stumped there.
I know, I couldn't think of one either.
I don't know. I'm going to be thinking on this one now for the rest of the night. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Jasmine and Louise, for the awesome, awesome Harry Potter show to round off our Spooktober shows. If you enjoyed this and want to see more of what we do, we stream every Wednesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. You can also find our past streams up in the video section of our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. We will be doing these until it is safe to open back up our doors, which we don't know when that's going to be yet, but until then, we'll keep putting content out through here. Follow us on Facebook to hear any updates and any upcoming shows. You can also send us a comment or a request if there's any particular topic you'd like to hear us talk about that maybe we haven't covered yet, because we've been doing a lot of these where we need some more ideas, so we want to hear from you. So yeah, with that, we hope everyone enjoyed the show. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. So bye, everyone.